I'm Kelly Michelle with Keep Moving Forward, and thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to be talking about those people who are joining us in January for the Sprint to March Challenge. We're going to be doing 90 days with a month habit every single month, meaning you're going to learn 3 brand new habits and get very good at them. And you're going to be able to carry those throughout the new year, 2024. But for those of you who are currently in our program already, a lot of you have lost a ton of weight this year and you are very worried or concerned that you'll gain it back in December. You won't. You've learned a skill set, and the skill set is macro tracking. And as long as you don't throw it out the window and stop tracking and start slacking, you're going to do a very good job in December because we're going to go into December with a realistic mindset. And that realistic mindset is probably going to entail some things like having more carbs and fat and a little bit less protein during the month of December so that you can enjoy social engagements, travel, and some of the things that'll warrant a little bit more carbs and fat. We talked about this last week on my YouTube channel. And this week, we're going to talk about why it would be a good idea if you're an active person to go into more of a maintenance and building phase rather than to stay in a deficit. So every 5 to 7 days during December, you know that we are going to have at least 2 or 3 things going on, whether it's a party. And again, a lot of you are actually planning ahead and eating before you go to the parties. And you started doing that in November to practice for December. But once in a while, you're going to want to embark on having a little something at a party. And as long as you set aside carbs and fat and an appropriate amount of protein for that party, you should do well because you're going to leave a little buffer for yourself at the end of the day, even beyond what you set aside for that party, to kind of cushion the blow just in case you are a little bit over or under. Then when you get home at night, you still want to fill your remaining macros. That's probably one of the biggest mistakes I see also in a maintenance phase or during a diet break or during a refeed is, well, I didn't really need the carbs or I didn't really need the extra fat and carbs, so I just didn't fill them. It would be best for us to actually be at calorie balance every day because, again, even when you go off of calorie balance and you just don't mean to or you make a mistake, it's okay. The problem with that is if it continues to go on and then your body is basically not really knowing what it's going to get and it goes into a state of just being at calorie balance confusion, if you will. So again, that doesn't really exist physiologically, but what will happen is if you're off on calorie balance one day, don't worry about it. Just get right back on track. Start hitting your macros again. Start focusing on using the food scale for the time frame that you are home, and also estimating well when you go out to eat, so that when you get home at night, you can actually plug and play and fill those remaining macros because that's going to keep you closest to estimated calorie balance. Estimated calorie balance is just the same as what you're doing at home. It's just not as accurate because, again, there is marginal error in our food anyhow. So if we look at food as being something that we can perfectly control, that is an unrealistic expectation, not only for the holidays, but also with macro tracking as a whole. Because even packaged food and minimally processed and packaged food has some variability. So it'd be better for us to track what we do rather than stopping and starting to slack during the holiday season, because something is going to be better than nothing. Well, the same thing actually goes with lifting weights and being active. Even if you can get a 20 to 30-minute walk in, and a lot of you guys have been doing that over the last 45 days just to make sure that you stick with that habit of being active, that is going to be better than not active at all. The holiday season is a time frame where you're going to get invited to go places, and you don't want to be the Debbie Downer that's like, I'm on a diet. Nobody needs to know about your diet. Your diet and your nutrition lifestyle doesn't need to be something that is announced to the whole world. Now, if somebody asks you about it because they see the change in you, and they're going to, then you can embark on that discussion. But be careful about how restrictive you make that diet, because macro tracking is a wonderful tool that allows you to actually be social as long as you plan ahead without having to say really much of anything to anyone, because you've got your day planned out and you've got your little cushion and your buffer. So what's nice about that is you don't have to say, no, I can't have a drink. No, I can't have that. It isn't on my diet. No, I can't do this. You get to say yes a lot more and free yourself from the dieting slavery or the yo-yo dieting that you've done in the past, because you actually planned ahead to have a high protein breakfast, maybe a high protein lunch, and a protein snack before you go to that nighttime venue or concert or whatever it is that you're going to enjoy with your friends and family. And you're going to have a lot left in your budget. In fact, if you plan it correctly, you should have a buffer that is absolutely perfect. And then when you get home, you're going to put your food into your tracker by estimation. Take a photograph of what you actually consumed, put your phone away, enjoy your time with your friends and family. You're not the dieting weirdo. And you can then just put everything into your tracker, whether you use Macros First or MyFitnessPal when you get back home. What's nice about that strategy is you don't have to have your phone out. You can be fully present with your family. You don't have to blow your diet. And then whatever you have left over, you can either fill by liquid form of food or something very simple that you have before you go to bed. I really hope that you guys are excited about this holiday season. You're feeling empowered about it, because having more calories from fats and carbs is also going to be beneficial if you want to use those in a building phase at the gym. So that would be a great time frame in the month of December to go very hard and lift a little bit heavier, and maybe add an extra strength training day into the mix if you can afford to do that, or add a little bit more in the way of circuit training, cardiovascular work, or walking. Whatever you're comfortable with, if you just bring your level of activity up a little bit and you stay habitual with that realistic expectation of getting that activity into your schedule, you're going to do very, very well maintaining. Now, one thing I want to talk about specifically with the holidays is don't throw everything you've learned out the window in your fat loss phases. Make sure that you implement some of that structure into your holiday eating as well. If you're going to have a meal where you know you're going to have some sweets and treats at night, then maybe you eat potato or something that's got a little bit more nutritional value, a little bit higher quality food, nutrient dense food earlier in the day, like oatmeal at breakfast, like a nice whole grain piece of toast, whatever that might look like for you and your preferences. I would pay special attention to that earlier so that you can have something more of what you like late at night. Okay. Now let's talk about alcohol. So alcohol is 9 calories per gram, but we account for it in our program as a carbohydrate, therefore 4 calories. So if you are having a drink and it's 110 calories, you're going to put aside approximately 25 to 27 grams of carbs for that drink. If you know realistically that you might want to have 2, I would put 2 in your tracker. I would put 2 in your FitPal or your Macros First app. And I would go ahead and take one of those drinks out if you don't have it. I think that's more realistic rather than ideal. And again, if we go into the situation, we know we're going to only have 1 drink and we can't really be fully present and we can't enjoy 2. Sometimes that's a bit of a bummer. I'd rather have 2 in and then make a good choice. Oh, I don't really need the second one, and then remove it. Okay. So these are just some strategies that work really well for the holiday season. You can also work on just saying no, thank you. If there's something that gets presented to you and you are actually not hungry, saying no, thank you, or I'll take a piece to go is going to be something that will really help you not to look like you're rude, but just to say, oh, no, thank you. I'm so full. I would love to take a piece to go. That is going to be some verbiage that I think will really help you when you go to people's homes. I hope that you found this to be beneficial. I hope that you will enjoy the holiday season this year instead of feeling scared or anxious about gaining the weight back. If you track your food and you hit your macros, even by estimation, you are going to keep the results, especially if your coach knows how